Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie. I'm Stephanie Buckland, and I'm here today with Mecca Wagner-Brown, one of my very good friends. I'm super excited about this conversation. We've collaborated so much in the past and have made so much magic together already. So I'm super stoked about having you on the show today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd love for you to introduce yourself, what you do, what kind of magic you are making in the world today.
Okay. So my name is Mecca Wagner-Brown, and my business is called Mindful Interchange. And I help clients overcome challenges, whether that be trauma, stress, other challenges of making their life better. And I use techniques such as hypnotherapy, emotional freedom techniques, and cognitive behavioral therapy as my main package. I do offer some other supplementals, like helping people learn to meditate and being more mindful, as well as Qigong and yoga as kind of the last supplements.
Beautiful. So what got you into this? What was your aha moment that brought you into these therapies?
Well, I've meditated and done yoga since I was 5 years old, with my mom, and I've always been interested in human behavior, and that's why I have a degree in psychology. I actually have a dual degree, psychology and kinesiology, and I really wanted to be in the field of mental health, whether that was research or being a counselor, but life had other plans for me. And so as I was going on with my journey and my daughter was getting older and she was finishing up her bachelor's degree, I decided it was time for me now that I could shift, and I wanted to come back to this. But during that whole journey, I got my yoga teacher certification and Qigong teaching. I would do helping people learn to meditate and breathe and just being mindful, right? And improving myself and expressing that through my management style at a Fortune 100 company. So I asked myself through meditation, how am I going to do this? How am I going to shift quickly? Not knowing that COVID was going to hit just a couple months later, as I was asking myself these questions, you know what? I'm going to get hypnotherapy certification. And I signed up, and then COVID hit and they said, hey, we have a fast track program. I'm like, I'm down for that because I'm one of those people, right? I commit fully. So I got my hypnotherapy certification and learned about emotional freedom techniques sometime. I said, why not? It's a good supplement. So I got my certification in EFT at the same time, and then opened my practice, and then eventually left the Fortune 100 company to do this full time. And I love it. And yes, just like with anything that we learn, we are not the best in the beginning as we learn and grow, but I've been in business for 3 years now. And I'm really proud of where I'm at in my techniques, my practices. You can see my Google reviews. My clients are really starting to reap the benefits of the therapies, and that is fulfilling to me. This is why I do this. I feel like I was always to be of service to help people and to help them become better versions of themselves, to help them live full, happy lives. And I have my own experiences and have proven that you can do it. I love helping people do that.
That's wonderful. I love that you're doing this. It is so needed in the world today. So many people are struggling with their own challenges, autoimmune illnesses and cancer and all of these other things. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with you. So we're going to be talking about healing the mind and how your body expresses trauma through physical illness. Yes. And what you can do about it. It's just so exciting.
Yes.
I would love to give people a definition. What do we mean by, first, what is trauma? And then what are the different therapies that we can do, both with our own selves, like self-care kind of things, but then also the therapies that are out there, like what you offer?
So trauma is a personal definition. What may be traumatic to one person may not be traumatic to another. So it's how we internalize an event, and how that affects us and our behavior, and how we express ourselves. It's some people have a hard time trusting. And then when they look back and I help them discover why do they have a hard time trusting people? Why do they have a hard time communicating how they feel or being their authentic self? We go back and figure out where that started. Now, I do caution people in the blame game. If you're going to do this yourself and reflect, which I encourage fully, sit, reflect, ask yourself, why do I do this? Where does this come from? Be self-aware. Okay. Nobody's perfect. So you're not beating yourself up. You're analyzing, reflecting. Why do I say that? I know when in the moment that it's not right, that I, bite back, at people and say certain things, but why do I do it? And so as you reflect, you might come to the point where you're like, oh, because my parent, my dad or my mom, or this is how they communicated. And I saw that, or this is, every time that I tried to express myself, they would criticize me, right? Let's not blame, but let's just identify how it started and begin to heal those moments. Because we have to remember, parents aren't perfect either. They're people. They're other spirits having a human experience on their own journeys, and they have their own traumas. This is why we talk about generational traumas, because they just keep passing it on, passing it on. Well, you taking a moment to be reflective, you're trying to stop it. Now, if you've already had children yourself, you might realize I've passed this on, and you can see your child doing the same thing. Help them heal, help them get the help, because we have to stop that domino effect. But to do it yourself and to think about what is traumatic to you. Another traumatic event could be, I got into a severe car accident and almost died. Now I'm afraid to be in a car. It doesn't have to be something from childhood. It could have just happened last week or last year. There are some people that are scared to death to drive because they were driving and they made a mistake that almost ended their life. And now they're afraid to drive and they will only be driven, right? Some go as far as not even being in a car. They refuse, right? Those can be traumas too, right? But they're limiting your life, your life experience and your freedom, right? So trauma can be a lot of different things. And some of those you may have, your subconscious, its role is to protect you, right? Even though it's your program that's running, that's driving your behaviors and such, right? And what you do and how you perceive the world. It also tries to protect you. So sometimes these things that traumatized you, you don't remember. And it just kind of sits in there, brewing. And the beauty of EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and hypnotherapy is that we don't have to know exactly what happened. Like I have a client who says, I just have this feeling that I wasn't just being hugged, that it was more than that, but I can't remember details or I get flashes or something. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to re-traumatize ourselves. And that's the difference with what I do with EFT and hypnotherapy. It's different from traditional psychotherapy where they try to desensitize traumas by having you tell the story over and over again and re-traumatize yourself over and over and over. That's a you know, that's an old technique that people have realized doesn't really work, right? Let's
Mhm.
not re-traumatize people, you know? And so instead, you know, there are different processes and techniques I try to take my clients through, not to say they don't cry. Yes, you let it out, you know, but we try to start small and build until you can finally talk about it and be okay, you know? And
Not be re-traumatized.
right. We don't want to do that because that's not benefiting anyone, you know, it's
Mhm.
just, you know, making it worse. And the thing is that as we shove these feelings down and we keep them bottled up, right? That those emotions, those feelings, those experiences carry energy with them.
Mhm.
And that energy is a low vibration, right? Because those are not kind energies. And what's going to happen if you're holding them, they're going to express themselves within this physical body
In
through,
some way, yes.
through dis-ease, disease,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And illness. And so what we see is a rise in chronic illnesses, you know, whether it's autoimmune or another type of chronic illness stayed by, you know, stress um, and through cancer and heart disease, and, you know, it goes on and on. And, you know, Dr. Bruce Lipton, I love him. He wrote The Biology of Belief, and, you know, really kicked off epigenetics. And I have the honor of being the chair of the board of directors, of which he is on the board, for the Crestone Freedom Project, and vision journaling. And so I've been able to speak with him a few times myself. He is an interesting man. If you ever get to his YouTube channel, he's quite funny. But he loves tapping, or EFT, that I do, hypnotherapy. And he states this in, he's been guests on shows on the Gaia channel. He's got his own shows. He preaches this, that more than 90% of all disorders, diseases, challenges of the body and mind are caused by the environment, meaning the environment in your mind, your physical
Mhm.
body, and around you. It's not genetic. And that genetics can be turned on or off. He's like, you know, genetics can be turned on. They've proven this, you know, and they harped on that, you know, that suddenly it switches on. And okay, well, what switched it on? If you
Right.
switch it on, you can switch it off, right?
Exactly.
So that's the whole premise of epigenetics, you know. And his book is pretty deep. You know, he actually sent me, actually recently, I just got it. This is the anniversary edition of The Biology of Belief. Great book, but it is a heavy read. And I say that because it uses a lot of scientific terminology and processes and such. So it's a slow read, but just take your time to really digest it and understand what he's saying. But I'm just summarizing what it's saying. All of the research and the proof that he has on, you know, brain waves and when to do certain things, which I'll give you a little tips on what to do, times of day, because of, you know, your brain waves and where it's at and how you do it. And he even talks about the subconscious, you know, and I tell people your subconscious is your program. And it is where your limiting beliefs reside, your beliefs of the world. And most of it was created in the first 7 years of your life. The first 7 years, a child's brainwaves are almost identical to someone in hypnosis. This is why they say kids are such sponges, you know, because they learn so fast, because they're not blocking it. they're
Right.
they're taking it all in, and they're like, yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, that's true, you know, and they just do it. They're not questioning, right?
Mhm.
And then after that, they start to, their logical mind is starting to develop, and they're starting to have more references to things, and that's
Mhm.
why I love young kids, because they are just so, they will take it, they will take it all in, and they find wonder in just the littlest things. And as we get older, we ignore those, right? And I'll come back around to that. It's, and then we get caught up in all kinds of other crap, right? Oh my gosh, am I gonna pay my bills this month? I gotta work extra time. I gotta, it's on and on and on, right? We're
Yeah.
preoccupied. But Dr. Lipton even says the only way to change your program is through hypnotherapy and repetition. So the repetition part is important to note. Okay, so hypnotherapy, I've talked about that. It, for people who haven't experienced it, it's not stage hypnosis where it's all set up and make you do something you don't want to do. Okay.
Right. Cluck like a chicken.
Yeah, right. It's a deep state of relaxation to allow your conscious mind to wander. That's why some people say, I think I fell asleep. Not really. You went somnambulistic, which is the deepest state, but you allowed your conscious mind to check out and just kind of do its own thing while your subconscious listened very carefully to what I was saying. And I put in suggestions and start changing those limiting beliefs, start changing, and healing traumas and such. The repetition piece comes into play with the cognitive behavior therapy. So usually I give people assignments, right? Homework, because we have to remember that you're healing yourself. I'm just guiding you. I'm teaching you tools you can do at home on your own forever and ever. You don't have to ever stop. You can use them because traumas can happen at any time. It's not just in the past. There might be a trauma that's going to occur on your journey today, tomorrow, a year from now, right? These are tools that you can use and learn, especially the tapping, which I'll get into that. But cognitive behavior therapy, sometimes, I give a person an assignment to say certain affirmations, depending on what it is they're struggling with. And I tell them to look in the mirror and say this to themselves. And they're like, but what if I don't believe it? It's okay. You fake it until you make it, right?
Yep.
Because the more you repeat something to yourself, eventually you're going to reprogram the subconscious mind and you're going to start to believe it, right? And you're going to feel it change energetically within yourself. And there's some timing on that stuff too, but
Awesome.
so
Okay.
yeah, so there's lots of science around this. I mean, some people have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza and such, but Dr. Lipton is like one of the main, when we're talking about the body and its physical expressions, this is a big part of it. The energy within your body can express itself this way through disease.
Most definitely. I love the idea of using some of these therapies to help people that are in a cancer response or an autoimmune response. Can we touch on a little bit of that and maybe your history with your clients?
Yes, absolutely. So I do use EFT as well, and instructional EFT, which is it works on the energy channels in the body, because again, these emotions are energy, right? So they're held in your body. And so the tapping process helps release a lot of that stuff. And the instructional EFT is a combination of the Jeffy Mahler technique with the EFT technique, so that it creates an instructional process to instruct your body to behave in different ways. So I have one client who came to me back in September. And she said, I just got diagnosed with a rare form of breast cancer. There's a lump in my breast, and they said that it's a rare form and it's aggressive and so on. And she does Reiki, by the way, and massage therapy. And she takes care of herself. And so she was really shocked that she was diagnosed with cancer. And as we started digging into it, right, and she wanted my help, knowing that she was going to start chemotherapy, and then she was eventually going to have surgery to remove the lump and so on. She's like, I want to heal as I'm doing this so that not only do I heal whatever caused it, but also support my body as I go through this battle, right? And as we started going through and discovering what her childhood was like, and through her experiences in adulthood even, this is what I find with a lot of clients. They don't realize the impact of some of these things on their life. And sometimes the things I hear from people, not just this client, shock me. Of course, I don't, there's no judgment here, right? But I'm surprised. When I say shocked, I'm surprised that you're standing. I'm surprised that you walked into my office. I'm surprised that you seem so well adjusted because of the things that they have experienced, that they have somehow rationalized and locked away.
Right. Yep. Humans are amazing, adaptable creatures. It is unbelievable.
It
It
is. And they compartmentalize these memories, these traumas, push them away, push them away, push them away, push them away, right? This is what causes disease. And so we begin to chip away at it. I'm like, this is a big rock. I mean, this is something that it's heavy, right? You've been carrying all of this. So we need to chip away one thing at a time, one thing at a time. And as we heal those things to ensure this cancer doesn't come back, right? We also work on the other things of instructing the body to heal and to support, to take in the chemotherapy and allow it to work, and to, the body does what it needs to do to support that, to also help identify, locate, mark, and destroy the cancer cells, to focus on the lump specifically and to kill it, and so on. And she did really well in her doctors. I actually asked her if she wouldn't mind writing a testimonial. It's on my website. She said I could post it with her name. So I put it out there because her doctors asked her the whole time, what are you doing? That's, because you're doing so well. And she's like, oh, I'm working with Mecca and this is what she's doing and blah, blah, blah. Then she went to get the lumpectomy and she was very, very scared because they said, if we go in there and there's no clear margins, we might have to do a mastectomy. So they had a plastic surgeon on hand to help with either case because they would have to redistribute some of the fat, because it'd be a divot, so something was going to happen there. And she, she signed off and said, okay, when I wake up, I'll find out what happened. So they removed the lump. And all was good. And they told her that they were shocked that when they went in to remove the lump, which had very clear margins, it showed signs of dying, that it had pits and holes throughout it and it was gray. And they said it was dying. We don't know, it's like they don't see that often.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's the work I've been doing with Mecca.
Oh, that's beautiful. Man, yeah, I have this perspective and it isn't, well, not a lot of people hold this perspective. I don't believe in cancer. I don't believe that cancer is what we think it is. And I don't believe that Western medicine is really doing the right things
I agree.
to heal cancer. If we integrate and bring in therapies like hypnotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, EFT, massage therapy, even things like chiropractic, acupuncture, naturopathic medicine, all these things that have much different practices in them to allow the body to heal more holistically.
Yeah.
I think that is really the key to our survival on this planet, to be
I
honest.
think so too. And I don't, look, if a person wants to go through chemotherapy, go for it. I'm not going to tell someone not to. Okay.
Mhm.
If you do what you feel is right, but I will help you. I will help support you and support your body and your mind. Let's heal some of this stuff, this garbage you've been carrying around. Heal that. And my client has been declared cancer-free.
Yay.
She's gone through her radiation. Everything's great because they're doing the cleanup part, right? And she is of the mindset as well that she's not wearing this "I'm a cancer survivor" and buying into the whole marketing of the cancer treatments, because that's a whole nother conversation we can have, right? But she said, that's not my identity. No, I had it, it's done, it's over. I'm me. I'm a healthy person. And she feels so much lighter and better because we've been healing all these past traumas, right? And and that's just cancer. I have clients with IBS, right? Irritable bowel syndrome. And if people don't know what that is, it's a chronic condition. Sometimes it's caused by bacteria, and so sometimes medications can help kill that and clear that out. Most of the time, it's trauma and stress induced. You're doing this to yourself, basically. I've been there, done that, right? I've had it. I've been through it 23 years ago. I couldn't even drink water without getting cramping, painful cramping. It was so bad, but it was a point in my life where I was so stressed that I would be sitting at my desk. This was not the last Fortune 100 company I worked at. This was the company before that. And I would literally start to black out just sitting there because I was so stressed that I was literally blacking out at my desk and have to hold on and wait for it to pass. It was bad. And I had my mental break, so when I have a client come and see me, I tell them like, yeah, and then you probably can't even drink water without cramping. And they're like, yeah, been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I said, I don't want to see you have a mental break like I did. And so we start changing perspectives. We start healing some of the traumas, because again, there are traumas. Why are you driving yourself into the ground? Why? Because your parents always said to prove your self-worth, you have to work hard. Because you felt that to prove that you were not weak and that you're strong, you had to push your emotions aside. There are all kinds of things, right? You have to prove, you're constantly proving yourself. Why? Because guess what?
Feel good enough.
Your job really doesn't care, because if you leave, they're going to just put somebody else in that job. It really doesn't matter that much. And we start to heal that. Now, as you start to heal and you start to feel the relief, you have to keep going. Some people just stop and then just go back to the old way, right? You have to start integrating the changes, and that takes time. It's like creating a habit, right? So instead of having to think about doing your gratitude in the morning, you just do it because you've just been doing it forever. And that's an important thing that I tell people. What do you have to be grateful for? And some people are so down there, like, I can't think of anything. I'm like, Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I have a statement, again, fake it until you make it, right? I have a statement that I give to people. I'm like, if you're having a hard time feeling grateful for waking up another day, here's your statement. Keep it by your bedside and read it as soon as you wake up, because your brain waves are in that state that's coming to awakening, right? And this Dr. Lipton and the program that I help participate in, they help run, we do this. Gratitude is in the morning, right? First thing, when I wake up, I sit on the edge of my bed for a moment and I allow that feeling to rise up. So I tell people gratitude's not, I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for, no, that's not it. You allow that feeling to rise up inside of you. And I look at the day as I woke up another day. Who knows the day that I won't? But I did. I woke up another day. I have my dogs around me, my partner, and I have a whole day laid out. That's a blank page in the book of my life. And I get to create what I want to. And some people say, well, yeah, but I still have to go to work. So you get to control how you interact with people at work in this day in your life. This is your life. What do you want to make of it? It's like, take yourself back to it, because you know what? I still get this feeling. If I think about it, I loved blank papers. When you're a kid, so here we go. Remember when I said, right? We're going to go back to it. When you were young and you got paper and crayons or a pencil or something, like your parents wanted to preoccupy you, they gave you paper and something to write with. How cool was that? What do I get to make of this? I can make a paper airplane out of it and decorate it. I can color, I can draw a picture, I can write something, you can do whatever you want, right? Blank pages are so exciting. What are you going to do? You get to decide. That is my feeling of gratitude in the morning. I am grateful for another day to make a difference in my life and in everyone else's around me that I come in contact with. And so I tell people, and this is something you can do. Anybody can do it. And I say it in my book also, in my book, Little Things Lead to Happiness, because people wanted more of a working book, right? And that is, start changing how you look at things. Oh my gosh, I have to go to work. Okay, well, I get to go to work and I get to interact with people and I get to influence other people. And this is how I started changing my life at a very stressful position I had with this Fortune 100 company, and being a people manager of a global team, people around the world that I worked with in many different areas, is that I wanted to impact everyone's life for the better and be at peace. And people knew Mecca is the gal who has this little Buddha you see back here. This used to sit on my desk at my Fortune 100 company. My space was peaceful. I'm like, you come into my space, you better be, calm. And, they knew Mecca took meditation breaks, I'm like, I need to ground myself, because, it gets a little crazy. But I was known to help shift energy with people. I'm like, I want to know what's going on with you. Like if a coworker, somebody I worked with, maybe they're sitting in New Jersey or whatever, and you can tell there's something happening there. I would pause and say, are you okay today? Because you don't sound like yourself. How many people do that?
Not very many, especially in corporate environments.
Because we're thinking of ourselves. Oh my gosh, how is this going to impact me? What am I going to have to do with this, right? I start looking at people as human beings, not just corporate cogs in the machine, right? what's happening with you today? You don't sound well, because you don't know. I've found out, I was in the ER all night with my mom because she fell and whatever, they're tired. And I say, what can I do to help? Is there something I can help you do? You want me to help you with this action? Whatever. Like, let's shift. It's going to be okay. Right. And just changing your perspective on things. And that's my other booklet for managers, is being in that constant conflict, because the corporation doesn't care. The corporation's an unfeeling entity. They care about the bottom line. But in reality, there are people here, right, that need compassion, especially if you're a manager of people. And so I would always check in with people. Good morning. How are you doing today? Or good evening, depending where they're at, right? Because sometimes it'd be evening for them, right? And I'd ask them how they're doing. I'd ask about their family. I got to know my people. I knew their families. I traveled to these different groups. I met their parents. I met their children. I got to know people all over the world, because I want to know, who are you? You don't just report to me and do this one thing. What are your goals? And shifting perspective and healing trauma. So I used to be known as a control freak. Can I do that still? Sure, I could. But I let that go. I'm able to delegate and be okay with somebody doing something different than me. It's good enough. It works, right? I'm okay with that. Some people are like, oh, I can't do that. You can. It takes time, it takes practice. You have to let go. It's okay. Because guess what? You can't control anything but your reaction to the world around you. That's it. It's all you can really control, right? So that's what I try to help people with. And as you start healing some of that, your IBS will go away. It will go away. Because it is stress induced. It's your environment in your body and mind that's causing that. Like the connection, the connection, right? With the vagus nerve and the mind and the gut, right? Yeah, there's a connection there. And once you start the vicious cycle, it's hard to stop it, because your brain is impacting your gut is impacting your brain. So if you get into this vicious cycle, you're like, get me off this. Give me all this merry-go-round. It's like, what do you do? Well, that's what I try to help people do. Stop. Stop. Let's start healing, right? Start healing and get it. And I wish I had a magic wand. A lot of people unfortunately want this magic pill, which is why pharmaceuticals are so abused, right? And used. It took time for you to get here. It's going to take time for you to get out of it. And I try to teach tools, because I know everybody's got budgets too, right? Here are tools: how to shift perception, how to be introspective, how to be self-aware, how to accept criticism with compassion. You know what? I didn't know that. That's a good point. I didn't even think I was doing that. Instead of being defensive, and saying, well, you're doing, a lot of people want to do that. No, this is about you. You're getting feedback from the other. You'll be surprised how that throws people off, especially if they're angry and giving you the feedback, right? And you're like, that's a good point. I didn't realize I was doing that. I apologize. I'm going to do better. I'm going to have to really think about that and how I shift, how I do that. And people don't know what to do with that, because they're so used to a battle, right? I'm like, hey, none of us are perfect. Not one person is perfect. And I tell everyone, if you bring a perfect person to me, I will give you everything I own. You won't find one. Okay. And so you need to accept that yourself. You're not perfect, because our mistakes are a blessing. It helps us learn and grow every day of this life. And the other thing is, I tell people, your past is not your identity. It is the conduit of your healing and growth through life. You've made mistakes. We all have. maybe you've done something that people would say, oh my gosh, and they want to label you that forever and ever. That was you then. You're a different person now. So we should not be held to what we've done in the past. We're allowed to change and grow. Every single person, I don't care who you are, whether it's an ex-husband or ex-wife, who was, toxic, as they say, anyone can change. And we all have that right. And you should give everyone the right to express who they are today. If you haven't seen them in a while or whatever, don't hold them to everything they've done in the past, because they probably realize what they've done and the mistakes they've made, and they've grown from it. And that's what I try to help people do with all my techniques and all my tools and how to do things at home, and me to help pull those things out, is help people get to this space of mindfulness.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so definitely the more that we share these things with our community and give them the tools that they need to be healthier and more optimally well, as I like to say, I think that if we can share a few things of what they can do at home today, I think that would be wonderful.
For sure. A lot of people, they want to slow down and learn to meditate, but they're in a space in their life now where they can't quiet their mind. And so that's why I created my foundations to meditation when I'm teaching people. And so I tell them, I'm like, you don't have to meditate for an hour. You don't even have to meditate for 20 minutes. If you can just sit for 2 minutes, and 2 minutes can feel like a long time.
Yeah.
Try 1 minute of just breathing and counting. So breathing in for a count of 4, holding for a count of 2, and exhaling for a count of 6, and holding at the bottom for a count of 2. And then imagining, while your eyes are closed, each number, because you know what the numbers look like. Come on now, you're an adult. You know what a 1 looks like, right? Do you actually see it? People are like, I don't really see it. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to look like, it's right in front of you, but just imagine. You can pretend. We've all closed our eyes and pretended, right? Pretend. Close your eyes. As you're inhaling, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. You see each number holding 1, 2. Then you breathe out for the count of 6, and you just imagine those numbers. Once you've really calmed yourself, if you want to just breathe naturally and normally at that point, just imagine the letter X in front of you. If you need something to focus on, thoughts will come and go, and you can recognize that. You're like, I'll come back to that. I'm focusing on this X. Oh, this thought's coming through. Okay, that's fine. I'm focusing on the X. Just keep bringing yourself back, bring yourself back, bring yourself back. That's what you can do to practice just taking a moment. Because what's going to happen when you do that is you're engaging your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, some people have heard of the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Some people haven't. Some people have very limited perceptions of it, right? Your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. Your parasympathetic is your feed and breed, rest and repair. Okay. When we are in the sympathetic nervous system, which a lot of people are functioning on high speed all the time. They're like, I am busy all day. I can't. Then I go to bed and I can't shut off my mind. Yeah, because you're revved. It's like revving an engine and not giving your engine a break, right? When we're in that scientifically, right, biologically, your digestive system is suppressed, your immune system is suppressed, right? Your nervous system is suppressed. Everything is suppressed because you're in this fight or flight. So you got to focus on, okay, what am I going to do next, right? And this is why some people start to shake. And they're like, I don't understand why I'm shaking. because you're stressed. You've been functioning so high. And then they wonder why they can't shut off their mind. Then they wonder why they're gaining weight, why they have digestive issues, why they go on vacation and get sick when they go on vacation. Because you've suppressed your immune system. Now you're flying with all the germs in the plane, and you're, going here and there and touching, things you're not used to. And now you're getting sick because your immune system is so suppressed. And this is what happens when people go on vacation, they get sick, and then it never fails. Oh, I know I'm back from vacation, but I'm not feeling well. No shocker. I'm not surprised, it happens. So this is what you need to start doing. Start engaging a parasympathetic nervous system. When you go to eat, don't work and eat. Don't watch TV and eat. Sit and look at your food. Take your breaths. Calm yourself. Engage your parasympathetic nervous system. And then eat mindfully. What are you eating? This will also change what you eat, by the way, because you'll realize sometimes you're eating crap and now it tastes like crap because you're paying attention to it. I mean, you start to change what you're eating and how you're eating, how much you're eating, and you take a bite and you chew. Go outside. Well, not right now here in Phoenix because it's hot, but like look outside, or whatever, just engage. When I worked, this corporate job, I was lucky enough to have a window cube, right? And I just turn away from my computer, look out the window, breathe, and then I'd eat my lunch and I'd watch the birds in the trees and I'd watch the people and I just, relax and let my mind wander. And then, and then I eat, but calmly. And when you do that, you digest better, you eat less, you're calmer, and it helps you helps your body, your environment, right, is healthy in that space. Then, I have my alarm set. Okay, it's time to get ready to turn back around, or go back. Some people like to remove themselves from the space, whatever works. But the key is to engage your sympathetic nervous system. That you can do at home right now. You can do that in the morning, doing your gratitude feelings, breathing, do a little stretching, a little yoga, right? Get your body moving, especially if you sit all day for your job. Stretch, get your body and lubricate those joints before you jump into the shower, whatever. And then start doing your day. And then I always, before I go to work, make sure I had time, at least 15, 20 minutes to sit with a cup of coffee and just be present. My dawns, do my meditation, just be aware, be mindful, listening to them breathe. Pets are so healing. Looking outside when it's nice out in the mornings, sitting outside, my trees, the birds. These are things you can do. And setting your intention for the day. Today, I'm going to listen fully. I know I like to comment a lot, but I'm going to hold my thoughts and I'm going to listen. I'm going to try to understand where people are today and try to be generous with my energy and help heal people in just our short interactions today. That's what I'm going to do. And then I go to work and then, and the people, whether I'm going to the grocery store, I smile and it throws people off. I look at people. How little people look at people, really? I mean, they're in their phones, they're looking down, whatever.
I know. I swear the pandemic changed us even,
right?
Where we won't even interact to stay away from me.
I look at people and smile. You don't even have to say anything. I just smile. I was known to be a smiler at my corporate job. You're always smiling because, hey, I'm alive another day. All's good, man. It's, what are you going to do? I can't control what the corporation wants, but I can control how I respond to it. And guess what? Yeah, my happiness is more important. That's what you can do, is just start being mindful and just take your breaks. Take a break, 2 minutes to just breathe. If you can't escape anywhere, the bathroom is a great place. I'm not kidding. I've told people, go to the bathroom, get into a stall, and you can stand there or sit down. I don't care, whatever you want to do. You can do your tapping that I teach people, to tap. You can breathe and just be for a minute. If you need to put some music in your ears, whatever, just give yourself a couple of minutes. Come back to balance. Engage your parasympathetic nervous system, right? And let go of whatever it is that has really hyped you up. Let it go. Don't let it control you. Let it go. Those are the things you can start doing. If you have a young child and your child is pushing back and you're getting frustrated, ask yourself, am I trying to make them like me? Because guess what? They're their own person, no matter how young they are. Try to understand what they're doing and where they're coming from. Choose your battles wisely, right? Choose your battles wisely. Things like that. Start releasing control. Why am I trying to control this? Why? Who cares? You care. Why do you care? There's the question, right? You have to then start, why do I care so much? Right? So those are the things you can do today to just be more mindful. Bring yourself into a state of your rest and repair, right? Your parasympathetic nervous system, because our topic today is how things express itself physically, right? How do you start healing yourself? Start engaging your parasympathetic nervous system now. I have people say, I try to read, but I fall asleep. You know why? Because you are all day long revved up and your body is finally like, oh, we get a break. Let's sleep. We need rest. Let's sleep. Our mind needs rest and everything. That's why, I have a client that's like that. And our last session, she told me she was so excited. She goes, I actually read for 20 minutes yesterday and I didn't fall asleep. She was so excited, right? But that's because we're practicing engaging the parasympathetic nervous system, starting to heal and let go of things and letting yourself. So the more your body gets used to, oh, I do get rest throughout the day. I am okay. I have ups and downs. Okay. Then you're able to read. Some people say, I can't even watch a whole movie. I'll fall asleep. Again, because you were so up here, right? Bring it down. Relax, let it go, take your moments, set an alarm or a reminder on your phone. Time to take a moment. Take a moment to breathe. They've got apps for that even,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff out there. Use what works for you. And that's the other thing I tell people. I'm going to throw all kinds of things at you. Okay. If it doesn't resonate with you, all right, maybe it's not the right time for it. Maybe it never will be. Let's try something else. All right, that one you like, great. It's, what? Not everything works for everyone. Everyone's an individual. And so that's what I want you to remember, is be compassionate with yourself as you're at home, starting your self-care, starting your self-healing journey, whether you come see me or not, right? Start reflecting. Be honest with yourself and compassionate with yourself. Forgive yourself.
Yes.
For things you have said, things you have done, things you didn't say. Let it go. Let it go. And just start now, starting right now. I love the saying, you can reinvent yourself anytime you want, as many times as you want. Nobody has a right to say you can't. You get to do what you want to do. Again, it's your life. It's your story. Created. That you have control over. And that's what I try to do, is help people empower that. And then they start to heal and they're like, I feel so much better, feel so much lighter. Sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I'm over that. Well, if you were over it, then you wouldn't have talked about it in the last 2 sessions. So let's address it. And then it's like this emotional release, and they're shocked at like, oh my gosh. And then I usually get a text or an email the next day. I cannot believe how much lighter I feel today. I can't believe I've been carrying that around. I thought I was over that. Yeah, we do think that, don't we? Because we bottled it up so much. And that's what you need to start thinking about, is reflect. Why do I do the things I do? Why do I feel the way I feel? Why do I think the way I think? How do I want to be? How do I want to feel, and start healing yourself. And there are lots of tools to do that, tools I teach my clients, but engaging your parasympathetic nervous system by breathing, being more mindful, bringing yourself into the moment,
Mhm.
by reflecting on your past and how things have impacted the way you think and behave. What are the behaviors that you have today that you're already aware of that you want to change? And how do you want to change that mindfully? Those are 3 things you can do. You have full control over to do. And
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so is there a final thought, any inspiration you'd like to leave with our listeners and our YouTube audience?
You are a beautiful, unique individual, a spirit having a human experience. And you are not perfect. No one is perfect. And this is all a learning experience. And to embrace your mistakes, embrace your experiences, no matter how traumatic they were, as learning, as a conduit to change in your life, and start to heal yourself, because you can heal yourself mentally and physically. You can heal yourself. And if you need help, I'm more than happy to help. And there are a lot of other people out there who can help. And try different things. Whatever sticks, stick with it. If you tried and said, it wasn't for me, that's fine. There's so many things out there to try. Try
Mhm.
it and see what works for you. But you can be happy. You can be healthy. You can be at peace with yourself and your life, and get fulfillment out of every single day in your life. You just have to start somewhere and start making the changes.
Perfect. How can people reach you, Mecca?
Well, the simplest way is on my website at mindfulinterchange.com. Mindful has 1 L. A lot of people want to put 2 L's in there. It's mindful with 1 L, innerchange.com. And if you go to my website, my business email is in the top area. My link to my Facebook page, my Instagram is there, my YouTube is there. But there's also on that landing page of my website, a quick, request a free 20-minute consult. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can get a hold of me. And even my business number is on my website. But you can reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Is this something you can help me with? I will be honest with you. If it is something, most of the time I can help people with stuff. And then say, okay, would you like to set up a 20-minute phone consult? The other thing is, I want people to know is, don't feel guilty for wanting to do a session via Zoom. I do Zoom sessions because I have people out of state that are my clients. However, you're busy. You're trying to fit in healing. And to come to my office takes time. And you may feel overwhelmed just by that. I can do a Zoom session. You just have to set up, and I would tell you in the consultation how to make sure that, you create a space for our sessions, and we'll do our sessions via Zoom. I don't care if you're a mile away, 50 miles away, or 1,000 miles away. If you get healing on a Zoom session because that's best for you right now, it's great. And if eventually you're like, hey, I want to come see you in person, fine. Then we schedule it in person. Don't feel guilty for wanting to do your session via Zoom. Just as long as you start healing, it's all that matters.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mecca. I think this has been a very important conversation. I can't wait to share it with the world. So I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.